As thought, see the chaos it has created. That's all. Which means, is thought aware of itself as a movement?
Mm-hmm.
Not, I am aware of thought as a movement.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
Which the I has been created by thought.
Right.
So I think the question which is relevant to that is, why does thought keep on going? You see, why does it sustain itself? You see, because as long as it sustains itself, it does produce something like an independent reality, you know, an illusion of one.
Why does
thought keep on going? You see,
what is
when
my
it's irrelevant.
relationship to thought?
You are thought. But there's not you related to
But
thought.
that's the way when the language says there is one. It says that I am the entity who is doing who produces the thought. You see it, which is to say, like say General Motors saying, I am the corporation which is producing automobiles. Do you see?
Right. But look, right, you're right. Can I get it through? The question is, I say to you, what is my relationship to thought? You say to me, you are thought. You, in some way, what you say is clear, but that's still what's coming from me. Do you see? In other words, that's still the way thought is moving. To say it's my relationship to thought.
Well, that's the point, to say that can this very thought stop right now? Do you see?
Yes.
In other words, what is sustaining this whole thing at this very moment is the question I was trying to get at.
Yes, that's the question.
In other words, say we have a certain insight, but something happens to sustain the old process, nevertheless, right now.
That's right. Right now, thought keeps moving.
No, he asked Dr. Burma asked a very good question, which we haven't answered. He said, why does thought move?
When it's irrelevant to moving.
Why is it always moving?
That's right.
So what is movement? Movement is time. Right?
That's too quick. What do you mean? Movement is time.
Oh, of course.
But I think, you know, that
Movement is movement.
No.
That's
From
movement.
from here to there.
Right.
But
This is, what about that?
Yeah.
Right.
From here to there.
Right.
Physically. From here to London, from here to New York,
Right.
and also psychologically, from here to there.
Right.
I am this, I must be that.
Right. But if a thought is not necessarily all that.
Thought is the movement. We are examining movement, which is thought.
Thought.
Look, if thought stops, there is no movement.
Yeah, I know you. I'm trying to. This has to be made very clear.
See, I think there's this kind of a step that might help. You see,
What is that?
I ask myself, you see, what is it that makes me go on thinking or talking? In other words, I often can watch people and see they're in a hole just because they keep on talking. If they would stop talking, the whole problem would vanish, right? I mean, it's just this flow of words that... So, because what they say then comes out as if it were reality into them, and then they say, that's my problem, it's real, and I've got to think some more. Do you see, I think there's a kind of a feedback saying, suppose I say, well, I've got a problem, I'm suffering, right?
You've got an eye, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you see, so therefore I have a sense I am real.
Right.
See, I'm thinking of my suffering, but there's implicit that it is I who is there.
Right.
And that the suffering is real because I am real.
Right.
And then comes the next thought, which is, since that is real, I must think some more.
Right.
Because if it were, that would be the
It
case.
feeds on itself.
Yeah, and
Right.
then one of the things I must think is, what is my problem? Which is that I am suffering. In other words, I'm compelled to keep on thinking that thought all the time. Do you see? And maintaining myself in existence. Do you see what I'm driving at? That there's a feedback.
Which means, if thought is movement, which is time, and if there is no movement, I am dead. I am dead.
Yes, if that movement stops, then that sense that I am there being real must go, because
Right.
that sense that I am real is the result of thinking, right?
Do you see this is extraordinary?
Of course it is.
No, actually, in actuality, not in theory,
Right.
one realizes thought as movement,
Right.
right?
Right.
There is not I realize thought as a movement. Thought itself realizes a movement.
Right.
It is in movement.
And in this movement, it creates an image of
me
who
or-
is supposed to be moving.
Yeah, yes.
Right.
Now, when that movement stops, there is no me.
Right.
The me is the time,
Right.
put together by time,
Right.
which is thought.
Right.
So, do you, listening to this, realize the truth of it? Not the verbal, logical truth, logical statement, but the truth of such an amazing thing. Therefore, there is an action entirely different from that. The action of thought as movement brings about a fragmentary actions, contradictory actions. When the movement as thought comes to an end, there is total action.
And can you say then that whatever technical thought comes about then is in order?
Of course.
In other words, that it doesn't mean that thought is permanently gone.
No.
It could still be a movement that had its proper place,
Yeah.
its fitting order, at
Its
the
proper
right
place.
and proper time.
Yes.
And it comes about. I mean, the brain can still do that thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So, a human being, is he afraid of all this? Unconsciously, deeply, he must realize the ending of me. And that is really a most frightening thing. My knowledge, my books, my wife, you follow the whole thing which thought has put together, and you are asking me to end all that.
Yes. I mean, can't you say it's the ending of everything? It's because everything that I know is in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you see, really, I am frightened, a human being is frightened of death. Not the biological death,
To die now.
is the death of this coming to an end.
Right.
And therefore he believes in God, reincarnation, dozen other comforting things, but in actuality, when thought as movement, when thought realizes itself as a movement and sees that movement has created the me, the divisions, the quarrels, the political, follow the whole structure of the chaotic world, when it thought realizes, it sees the truth of it and ends. Therefore it is in cosmos. Then there is cosmos. Now, you listen to this, how do you receive it?
You want me to
Receive it.
receive it?
I offer you something.
Right.
How do you receive it? But it's very important.
Yes. Thought seizes
And then
movement.
how do you receive it? How does the public who listens to all this say, how am I listening to this? What is it trying to tell me?
How?
He says, I'm not telling you anything. He says, listen to what I'm saying and find out for yourself whether what thought as movement. In that movement has created all this, both the technological world, which is useful, which is necessary, and this chaotic world.
Right.
How do you listen to it, or the public, another who is not here, listen to it?
Right.
How do you listen to it? How do you, what takes place in you when you listen to it?
Panic.
No. Is it?
Yes.
Huh?
There's a panic about the death. There's that death, a sort of fear of the death. There's a seeing, there's a sense of seeing, and then there's a fear of that death.
Which means you have listened to the words.
Right.
The words have awakened the fear,
Right.
but not the actuality of the fact.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think that's a little unfair. They
I'm
awaken
asking.
they awaken the actuality of the fact, and then there seems to be a very quick process. There's an actuality of a fact, and there seems to be a silence, a moment of great clarity that gives way to a kind of feeling in the pit of the stomach where things are dropping out, and then there's a kind of withholding, right? I think there's a whole movement there.
So you are describing humanity.
Yes, I'm trying, yes. And I'm describing me.
Me, who are the
All
humanity.
the same.
Right.
You're the viewer, the
Right.
people who are listening.
Right, that's right.
So
There's a sense of, well, what will happen tomorrow?
No, that's not the point. What will happen?
That is, I'm telling you, that's that
No.
fear.
When thought realizes as a movement, and that movement has created all this chaos, total chaos, not just patchy, but complete disorder, when it realizes that, what takes place? Actually, you're not frightened. There's no fear. And listen to it, there's no fear. Fear is the idea brought about by an abstraction. You understand? You have made a picture of ending and frightened of that ending.
Well, you're right. You're right. There's stop.
There is no fear.
There's no fear, and then there's.
There is no fear when the actuality takes place.
That's right. When the actuality takes place,
When the
there's
fact-
silence.
With the fact there is no fear.
Yeah, but as soon as the thought comes in,
That's right.
That's right. Now, wait, no, don't go away.
I won't go.
When
I've
the
got-
thought
I've
comes
got
in.
3 minutes more.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Go on.
The fact and the actuality, no fear.
That's it. That's it.
Right. But then the thought comes.
No. Then it's no longer a fact. You can't remain with the fact.
Well, that's the same as to say you keep on thinking, isn't it?
That keep on moving.
Yes.
I didn't.
Well, I mean, as soon as you bring thought in, that's not a fact, that's an imagination or a fantasy, which is felt to be real.
Right.
But it is not so, right?
Right.
And
Right.
therefore, you're not with the fact any
So
longer.
we're saying something
You have
there.
discovered something extraordinary.
Right.
When you are faced with fact, there's no fear.
Right.
So all fear is thought, then, is that
Yes, that's right.
That's a big mouthful.
No,
Yeah.
no,
I
all
know,
thought,
but it's-
all thought is fear.
That's the
All
other way
thought
around.
is sorrow.
Right.
that goes both ways, that all fear is thought and all thought is fear.
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
And except the kind of thought that arises with the fact alone.
Yeah, I want to interject something right here, if we got 1 second, and that is, it seems to me we have discovered something quite important right here, and that is, at that actual seeing, then the instant of attention is at its peak.
No, something new takes place.
Yes.
Something totally that you have never looked at, or it has never been
Right.
understood or experienced, whatever it is. There is a totally different thing happening.
But isn't it important that we acknowledge this in our thought, I mean in our language,
Yes,
as we're
yeah.
doing now? In other words, that if it happened and we didn't acknowledge it, then we're liable to
Hypo-
fall back.
Of course, of course.
I don't get it.
Well, we have to say not only it happens, but we have to see it that it happens, and we have to say that it happens.
Well, then are we creating a place to localize there? Or?
No.
No, what he is saying is very simple. He's saying, does this fact, actuality take place?
Right.
And can you remain with that? Can thought not move in, but remain only with that fact? So it's like saying, can remain totally with sorrow. Not move away, not say, well, it shouldn't be, and how am I to get over it, how self-pity and all the rest of it. Just totally remain with that thing, with the fact. Then you have an energy which is extraordinary.
Right.
Can you? It's time.